Hidden track for our map, a 4-player map, TVP. We've got our Protoss in the top right, Mini, the current king of the hill, and in the bottom right in the red is Sak. Needless to say, it is a game that Mini's going to be pretty exhausted coming into. We had, I think, maybe our most epic game of the King of the Hill in our previous game, so I'm curious to see how Mini's going to perform here.
Yeah, week one we had a lot of crazy epic games as well, but that wasn't like the no mining at the end, full upgrades, every tech type of thing. I love it. Just fucking love it. Every match it's awesome in.
We don't get it as much in professional casted games. I mean, players do end up getting to those points, but when you get something like a half-hour game where all the tech is going to be used, and you get to see, you know, all these units that we don't always get in every game interact. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I actually feel like in the King of the Hills so far, we've seen much less cheese and much more macro openers. And I actually think I know why. It's because you're not able to prep. King of the Hill is so spontaneous. So you don't really have time to, like, prep any builds. Whereas when you go into tournaments, you're like, okay, well, oh, I'm playing against Light. I know that he's weak against DT, so let me make this DT build that really sharp for this, you know, that type of thing. We don't, in the King of the Hill, people are just like, I don't know, I gotta, like, fucking just play and react to everything, because who knows what's gonna happen.
It's almost like they're thrown into a ladder game or something like that. I mean, it's just like, okay, well, here's what I'm kind of labbing out on this map right now. By the way, this is going to be a Nexus on 12. Not a terrible distance for the spawns here. You know, I think Nexus on 12 is extremely abusive if the Terran happens to be cross spawns.
Yeah. But if he scouts it first, with the build he's opening with, he should be able to bust it without any problem. But yeah, just because you bust the Nexus first doesn't mean that you're actually even ahead. It really matters a lot on the decisions made. Like how many SCVs sent. Yeah, like how many gates is Mini gonna go? Honestly, his probe saw the SCV coming. He sat out there to wait and see. We get to see now if he wants to put down the second gate to try to truly hold it. Nope, he throws gas down. So what Mini's doing here, he'll harass this SCV really heavily, and he's going one gate. So he's just going to pull everything away from his Nexus. Like, I think he'll micro a little bit, but he's going to let it die.
Oh, yeah, let's expand on this, because, like, this can be very confusing if you don't really know the fine details of this situation. Basically, Terran really can't allow the Nexus to just go up, but the only way for Terran to deal with that is to pull a bunch of SCVs in a big attack and attack it. But the problem is then the Protoss can just ditch the Nexus, and the Terran has lost a chunk of mining timing. And so this is, I think, among one of the more complicated early game situations that is completely not obvious to beginners or people that just like to watch, where you think the game's more about who has more bases and stuff like that. And so let's see how this is handled.
Yeah, Mini has gone for the second gateway after gas, so he's going heavy Dragoons. We don't actually see a Zealot yet. Okay, one Zealot pops.
Here's the SCVs. What is it? 8 is a number?
Well, it's actually it's up to you how many you want to do, and I'm not surprised. Like, he scouted it so quickly, he's sending 6, plus he has the initial one that's still in the base. That's actually, I think that's going to be fine for him, because it's not that many Zealots. It's like, it's
2.
Yeah. Okay. So, is it 2 Zealots? Yeah, 2.
Yeah, 2 out in the front.
If he micros well, he should be able to bust this still.
Sometimes the Zealots will be sent behind, by the way. The idea is that you don't let the SCVs get into a good position. The SCVs are coming forward, and they can basically make like a American football lineman like wall.
They're linebackers for sure.
Yeah, bully this back.
Yeah, so he's got the 2 Dragoons, and he's just, look at this. The SCV movement is amazing from Stock. Oh, the Zealots get on top, though. Okay, Mini goes on to win another one.
Yeah, this is really bad now. There's still a Zealot doing damage. It just now is picked off. As long as Marines don't get in the bunker, then Protoss wins.
Yeah. If you get the Zealots on top of the Marines, it's actually just game over. Like, yeah, I mean, I play against this daily, and it's like, that's just the way it is. You can't let it happen. And when you let it happen, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's it. Like, Honestly, like, Sock may stay in the game, but the writing is on the wall. That's it, right?
You're correct. You're 100% correct. If they throw SCVs at you and you shut it down, and obviously the Nexus wasn't lost, even if probes are lost, that doesn't matter because you're producing out of 2 Nexuses where they're only producing out of 1 command center. As far as workers go, Dragoon range is finishing, whereas there's no siege mode, there's no mines. I mean, Vulture Speed's not going to do a damn thing anyways, but you don't have that either. You don't have an extra command center. Your Marine count was reset for the obvious fact that you failed in that rush. And, I mean, from here, Protoss, I mean, look, this is going to be one of the more straightforward ways to just lose a game any Terran players experience is the Dragoons just snipe your tanks. Dragoons are better than Marines, obviously.
Yeah, it's rough. Like, he's adding a second factory, so he's going to follow it up with a second phase all in, which you definitely can't blame him for doing that. Like, you may as well. You know, you're playing for $50. But
Right.
it's, like you said, it's just, there's nothing to be done. When, like, this situation, if you go factory expand and your opponent goes Nexus first, you must bust it. Unless it's cross spawn and then you're just like playing from behind and that's it.
Yeah, which happens in some games.
Yeah,
you know?
it's literally Flash has said specifically, he's like, if you're playing factory expand, it's literally the reason that you play factory expand is to punish Nexus first. Because otherwise you can just do variants of gasless expansions, right? Like variants of expansion before factory, because you can't, if you just make Marines, you can't actually die if you micro correctly. So it's rough. If the Zealots get on top, you're dead. That's, for me personally, I always bring 8 SCVs to make sure they don't get on top. If he microed perfectly there, I think he busts it. But, you know, little bit of misclick, the SCVs split, the Zealots get on top, and that's it.
I agree with you. I mean, I feel like that is such an important moment. It's probably better to almost overdo it. Really, if the Marines get in the bunker, then the game goes on. I don't feel that trying to cut corners with the 6 SCVs is wise. That's not a build I'm that great at, but I have used it off and on when I play. And like, yeah, I mean, look, it's harder for the Terran to control the SCVs perfectly and not have the Marines take too many hits. And, you know, sometimes your Zealots will just slip through, and that's exactly what happened back there.
Yeah. Well, fast one. I guess that makes up for how long the first one is. Back on track.
I was gonna say, this is why.
I'd like a nice PvP.
Is this our first PvP for King of the Hill?
I believe it is. We haven't had very many mirrors. We've had a couple TVTs. Did we have a ZVZ yet?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so, yeah. And
Artosis and I have had this problem, though, where we've casted so many games that occasionally things do start to blend together. People will, like, ask us about a champion from 2018. We're like, well, I'm not. Off the top of my head, I have to double check which GSL that was. But I believe we did not have a ZVZ for this, if I remember right.
Yeah, I believe you're correct. And so our first PvP, I believe, so. Hey, that's actually one of the nice things that we're kind of doing with the King of the Hill anyways. Like, the mirror matchups are great, but PvZ, TvZ, and TvP are the best matchups. So we get a lot of those. Yeah. And that's awesome. I find those to be more interesting anyways.
Yeah, same. And I also I welcome the variety of different games we have back to back. It's nice to have, like, you know, a best of 5 or a best of 7 PvZ, but to kind of have this rotation, it's a good mix of StarCraft. So Polypoid as a PvP map is one that can have a lot of different games on it. You can pretty much do any build that you could imagine. I mean, you could even do cheeses where you build close to the middle. Obviously, we don't have that this time, but that does matter for the for each player right now, since they don't know the other players doing that. But the most common way to approach this map is Pylon Gateway Gas, basically the standard PvP build. Another important feature about this map is that the ramps are very small. unlike a Neosilphid where you don't really have a ramp, but more of an entry, or even Circuit Breakers or Shakura's Temple where you have a pretty big ramp and therefore you need more than just one unit to block it. Sometimes powerful tech plays can be very, very strong. So when we look at, for instance, the position Mini's in, he gets the first scout, and Sins hasn't scouted yet.
Yeah, he's playing a little bit greedy in that regard.
Yeah.
Oh, he gets the pylon. Did you see? Sins was trying so hard to stop him from doing that. I was about to mention that Sins' micro is really good. He was trying to keep the probe in a location to stop this, but it still gets down. Oh, he gets another?
He's beating me too. I was gonna say, this is bad because when they get one, sometimes they start to get the other. You have less probes to try to block. Now, this is a clear advantage for Mini, not just economically, but as far as options go. Remember that right now, dude, think about this. Sins doesn't even know if he's getting 2-gated.
Yeah.
Right? He's not, of course, but that's kind of scary. Also, these pylons act as scouts here. So they're looking right now at the Dragoon range that's not been upgraded yet. They see there's been no Zealot made because there's nothing attacking it with that. Back over here, Mini is just getting his own Dragoon range and kind of steadily moving along here.
Could you maybe tell me what you think about Sins' build here, where he didn't scout, he got offensive pylon, he skipped Zealot and went directly into Goon? This feels like he's been unreasonably greedy with the build.
I mean, you know me and how I look at the game. I mean, I generally feel like this is not safe. It does mean that he probably has to go for a Robo. You basically just, first of all, the Robo, and this is going to be a 2-gate Robo. I don't know if he's doing that because he got Man or Pylon or not, but Gateway Robo into either Gateway or Expand, or even Triple Gate, is sort of the safest, most generic defensive openers that you can have, right? And so, look, he doesn't get scouting off. It can be scary if you come over there and you discover they fast expanded. Protosses do that now from time to time in PvP. You can be blindsided by 2-gate, but I guess you just have to get good. You know, to use like kind of a Dark Souls reference or something there. You just got to get good and defend that. But the biggest issue for, I think, a player of my caliber is I don't have the intel, but I guess someone like Sins is just more comfortable just kind of staying back. Now, notice this. They're not making probes. Neither.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like this is going to be 2 Gateway Dragoon, I believe, into Shuttle Reaver.
Yeah, Mini has started his robotics support bay in the bottom left corner of his main.
Oh, good catch. Thank
Observatory, actually, for Sins to open. I guess considering he's gotten, like, 0 scouting done, it kind of makes sense. In fact, he still hasn't gone up to the base, right? Like, he scouted bottom right and top left, and that's it.
So it's going to be Observer into Reaver, basically, because... So they're both kind of doing the same thing, but Mini's doing this because he's ahead, and Sins is doing it because he's behind. The subtle difference that makes a big deal is that this is no Observer right now for Mini because he knows DTs aren't a threat, whereas Sins doesn't know that. Look at this. He scouts with the shuttle. He just took a peek there to look and see if there's a Nexus. He just wanted to confirm.
Awesome.
Yeah. Players are not usually looking for a Nexus, or I'm sorry, players are not usually looking for the shuttle that's going to look for the Nexus in that moment. So it's a smart play, and basically he's going to Reaver push and get an Observer behind this and probably expand.
Yeah, he did start his observatory as well, so seems like he's got his full little suite of tech that he wants. Mini moving out with his goons and 1 Reaver in the shuttle. Sin's about to have the same thing. His Observer going to get there first. So I think he realizes, okay, I know exactly what's going on here. But does Mini just set up a contain then?
Yeah. Yeah, if neither side expands in PvP, this is sort of the way the game goes, is you control this ramp down here. It's hard to get Reavers to fire up or even down ramps. Although that one apparently shot with ease, but... basically, he's got to be careful, man. That's crazy.
Very brave.
Basically, he's going to control this area down here. He's going to get his Nexus up. He's going to squeeze out a few more probes. And this is a tempo advantage.
Oh, and now we get this. Oh my god, actually, Mini takes the hit on the Reaver. He does get it running away, so it's not full damage, right? But, that's... You know, I'm so used to this little dance that we see where the Reavers shoot each other, then pick up.
Yeah, it's a funny one.
It reminds me of Reaper versus Zerglings at the beginning of TVZ. You do it because you must, you know?
Now, pretty good detection here by Mini, realizing he's probably going to be coming out. If you don't see any Reaver action over there. But this is a little bit scary, man. I mean, Mini doesn't actually have that much stuff.
Dude, he got wrecked. Sins just destroyed him.
He needed to check for that much earlier.
Oh my god, what the hell? Mini's dead, right?
Yeah, Mini should be dead. He needed to basically run away immediately once you see that stuff coming out and not try to take the fight, because you do have less. Now, take a second here, because he's getting a Reaver of his own. He may try to actually drop the main. No, he's going to send the shuttle back over here. But this is 2 Reavers, man. This is Oh my god, that still connects? The Scarab moonwalked back down the ramp and then dived on the Dragoon.
And he's playing kind of safe here. I see a bunch of Dragoons left over for Sins back in his base, so trying to be careful.
Oh, the shuttle!
Oh, and he snaps it, gets the Reaver as well. His 2 Reavers are out dealing damage, and this should be it. Mini should be GGing here in just a second.
Yeah, this is over, man. You know, PvP is a very delicate matchup, especially when it comes to Dragoon Reaver. And I think Mini probably would have helped him if he had sent the Observer down there, seen what's happening. When they get 4 Dragoons outside of their base with the shuttle, I think you have to not engage it anymore. I think you need to run back and just hold off and defend your expansion. Because 4 Dragoons, if it's 2 out running around outside their main, I think you can do something about it. I think when it's 4, that's enough that it's a threat. You've lost control of the contain, basically.
Wow, that was a great breakout from Sins. Did it very quickly. It feels like he played a strong game there, even though it seemed like he was playing a little bit risky. All right. I'm surprised that Mini went down like that. I was kind of on your side where I'm like, well, I think Mini's going to have a pretty big streak here.
Yeah, that was... I just sort of wasn't... I knew a lot of different things could happen in that game. That was not really one that I was factoring in. But hey, man, that's what StarCraft's like sometimes. Kind of a straightforward, elementary way to lose the game.